In early 2019, this company was the most valuable startup in America, worth $47 billion. Its founder flew on a private jet, walked his offices barefoot, and reportedly told people he wanted to become the world's first trillionaire, live forever, and one day be president of the world. What did the company actually do? It rented empty office floors, painted them, added free beer, and called itself a technology company. Then it filed the paperwork to sell shares to the public, and for the first time, outsiders saw the real numbers. In about 6 weeks, that $47 billion valuation collapsed by roughly $40 billion. The public offering was canceled. The founder was pushed out. And the company that was going to change how the whole world works nearly ran out of cash. This is the story of WeWork and the most expensive ego in modern business. Take a seat. This meeting has one item on the agenda: how a company that rented desks convinced the smartest money on earth that it was worth $47 billion, and then lost almost all of it in the time it takes most of you to plan a holiday. There is a villain in these minutes, though the law never called him one. There is a number in here that someone simply invented. And there is a lesson, written in red ink, about what happens when belief outruns arithmetic. The minutes run 9 minutes. I suggest you stay for the vote at the end. WeWork began in 2010, in the wreckage of the financial crisis. Two men, Adam Neumann and Miguel McKelvey, noticed something simple. Office space came in long, expensive leases that small startups could not afford. So they did something unglamorous. They signed long leases on empty floors, renovated them into bright open offices, and rented the desks out by the month, with free coffee, free beer, and a feeling of community built in. You did not rent a room. You joined a movement. It worked. WeWork opened across New York, then America, then the world. But the real engine was never the desks. It was the story. Neumann was a magnetic salesman, 6'5" with long dark hair and endless energy, and he did not pitch a real estate company. He pitched a technology platform that would, in his words, elevate the world's consciousness. They were not buying square footage. They were buying the vision. The biggest believer was Masayoshi Son, head of the Japanese giant SoftBank. After reportedly touring a WeWork for barely 12 minutes, Son poured billions of dollars into it through his Vision Fund. With that money, WeWork's paper valuation rocketed past $20 billion, past $40 billion, until in early 2019 it was crowned at $47 billion, the most valuable startup in the United States. But underneath the vision, the arithmetic was frightening. WeWork did not own its buildings. It signed leases that ran 15 years or longer, then rented that same space back out in short-term deals customers could cancel the moment a downturn hit. Long-term obligations, short-term income. In any recession, that gap could swallow the company whole. And it was losing staggering sums. To grow, WeWork spent far more than it earned. In 2018, it lost around $1.9 billion on roughly $1.8 billion in revenue. For nearly every dollar that came in, a dollar went up in smoke. To look profitable, the company invented its own measure and called it community-adjusted EBITDA, a number that ignored most of the real costs of running the business. Then there was Adam himself. He leased buildings that he personally owned back to WeWork, becoming his own company's landlord. He trademarked the word "we," then sold the rights to that single word to his own company for nearly $6 million. And he built a share structure that handed himself 10 times the voting power of ordinary investors, with a clause naming his wife among those who would help choose the next leader if he died. This was not a company. It was a kingdom. In this building, we have a name for an executive who sells his own company the rights to the word "we" for $6 million. We do not call it fraud. We call it confidence. The expensive kind. For years, none of this was public because WeWork was private. That changed in August 2019, when the company filed its paperwork to sell shares to ordinary people. The document is called an S-1, and by law it must tell the truth. For the first time, the world saw the losses, the conflicts of interest, the invented metrics, and the strange grip Neumann held over everything. The reaction was brutal. Journalists and analysts tore the filing apart, line by line. The valuation bankers had once whispered, as high as $47 billion, began to crater in real time. Investors signaled they might pay $10 billion, then less. Within weeks, WeWork did the unthinkable. It withdrew its public offering entirely, humiliated. With no offering, the cash never arrived, and WeWork was burning money so fast it could run out within weeks. The board, led by the very SoftBank that had inflated the dream, turned on its founder. In late September 2019, Adam Neumann was forced to step down as chief executive of the company he had built. To stop WeWork from collapsing, SoftBank took control and wrote down billions in losses. Neumann, the man at the center of the disaster, walked away with an exit package reported to be worth well over $1 billion. What followed was the cleanup. Just weeks after the failed offering, WeWork laid off around 2,400 employees, roughly a fifth of its entire staff, the ordinary workers who paid the price for a vision they never controlled. The company limped on. In 2021, it finally went public, not through a triumphant offering but through a side door, merging with a shell company at a value of about $9 billion, a fraction of its old peak. The magic was gone. The pandemic had emptied offices around the world, and WeWork's fatal flaw, long-term leases against short-term income, did exactly what the skeptics had warned. The losses never stopped. In November 2023, the company that was once worth $47 billion filed for bankruptcy. And Adam Neumann. He landed softly. He walked away from the wreckage still extraordinarily wealthy, and within a few years had raised hundreds of millions of dollars from top investors for a brand new real estate venture. The employees lost their jobs. The investors lost their billions. The founder lost almost nothing at all. Minutes recorded. Before we adjourn, one question for the room, and do leave your answer in the comments. Adam Neumann burned through tens of billions of other people's dollars and walked away richer than most of us will ever be. So tell me, was he a con man who fooled the smartest investors alive? Or simply the one honest man in the room who understood that in this game, the dreamer always gets paid before the believers do? Next meeting, an inventor who failed 5,000 126 times before he built a billion-dollar empire out of a vacuum cleaner. Dyson. Subscribe. Attendance is taken. Minutes recorded. Meeting adjourned.